Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we'll review the highlights of this week's course of Daf Yomi study, Masechet Gittin, pages 47 through 53, Mem Zayin through Nun Gimel. 47. Ulu veitecha, melamed shadam mevi bikurei ishto v'koreh. So the mitzvah of bikurim, the mitzvah of the first fruits, is that you have to take from the first fruits, bring them to Jerusalem, bring them to the Holy Temple, and deposit them by the side of the Mizbeach, for the Kohanim to take and benefit for themselves, to eat the fruit. But when you make the delivery, the deposit at the altar, you also have to recite a scriptural passage, Arami Oved Avi. My father was a wandering Aramean. It's a brief history of Am Yisrael. We say it at the night of the Seder, as it recalls the Exodus as well, and which you thank God for the beneficence that led to these first fruits. Now, normally you can only recite the Mikra Bikurim, the scriptural passage, in connection with your own produce. However, the Gemara here says a husband can do so for the Bikurim that belong to his wife. Why? Because the pasuk says, "V'samachta b'chol hatov shenatan lecha Hashem Elokech b'uveitecha." You shall rejoice in all the good that God has done for you and with your house. And a bayit, the house, is equal to the wife, because the wife is the key ingredient that keeps the house together. Memchet 48. Hanizakin shemen lem be'idit. When there is damages that need to be paid, they are paid from superior quality land, or for that matter, superior quality of anything. There are three categories of quality. There is ziburit, the cheapest stuff, benonit, the medium level stuff, mediocre stuff, and idit, the best stuff. When damages are being paid, you pay from the best. Balchov, if you simply have a debt to pay, benonit, from the medium level stuff. Ketubat Isha, if it's a husband paying off the ketubah that was of his wife's, then he pays from the cheap stuff. Rabbi Meir Omer af ketubat Isha benonit. Rabbi Meir says even the ketubah is paid off from mid-level stuff. You're not allowed to make a payment from encumbered properties, in a situation where there is free properties, meaning Bnei Chorin is stuff that is really yours. The Mishubadin is stuff that was once yours that had a lien against it. So you can't go to the property that had a lien on it but is no longer in your possession if you're still able to pay from stuff that is yours actively now, even if what you have now is cheap stuff. And you're from and you're not allowed to collect from the possessions of heirs who are orphans, except from the ziburit, from the cheap stuff, because it's a way of protecting the rights of orphans. 49. Memtet. Amarish Rabbi Shimon. Why is it that the ketubah of a woman is paid for from the ziburit, from the lowest level of the quality of possessions? Why? Because we're trying to create an incentive for the man to marry the woman. That more than the man wants to get married, the woman wants to get married. And so we have to remove any and all obstacles that would get in the way of the husband being interested in marrying this woman. And one of the things we can do is say, well, when you have to pay the ketubah eventually, you'll pay from the cheaper materials, from the cheaper possessions of yours. And that will create a further incentive to get married, which is what the woman ultimately wants. Daf Nun 50. Devar Torah, under Torah law, Balchov Beziburit, ordinary debts can be paid with the lowest level quality material. Shenamar B'chutz Tamod, because it says that when someone is being harassed or being pressured to pay back a debt, they tell the creditor, wait outside while I will get something for you. B'chutz Tamod, stay outside, don't come into my house. So what is it that the householder is likely to bring outside as a form of payment to the creditor? The least of his vessels. He doesn't want to give good stuff, he wants to give cheap stuff. And why was it that they said that under rabbinic law, the creditor can collect from the beinonis, the middle level stuff, if under Torah law, the lowest level can be paid? So until this, because we do not want to close the door in front of potential borrowers. If potential borrowers were able to give back from the poorest quality material that they have, then potential creditors wouldn't bother lending. And we don't want the economy to come to a halt with no lending. Therefore, we said pay from the beinonis, pay from the middle level stuff. Nun Aleph 51. Why does the Torah say that if a person admits to a part of a claim lodged against him, that he must swear that he doesn't know any more than what he's admitting to, and that the rest of the claim he really doesn't owe? The Gemara says, that we have a presumption, a halachic presumption, a person will not be so brazen as to lie completely in the face of their creditor. Really, he would want to deny everything. However, he's not going to do it because he's not so brazen. Nobody's that brazen to deny a claim that's in fact a truthful claim. Really, he would like to confess that and admit that he owes the whole amount. The reason why he doesn't is because he's trying to push it off. Since right now he doesn't have the money to pay the whole thing, he only has the money to pay part of the debt, and he figures I'll stall for time by denying part of the debt. And we don't want him to do that because it's dishonest. So what recourse does the Torah have to get the guy to be honest? Well, the Torah will impose an oath on this man, and an oath he's not likely to lie. He may lie in court, but if he's under oath, he won't lie, and then he'll admit to the whole thing, that how much he really owes, and not just a partial amount. Nunbet 52. Hametame, if you render impure somebody else's taharot, their pure foodstuffs like their truma, which then makes it inedible. V'hamedameo, or you mix truma and chulin in some kind of ratio that now the whole thing can't be eaten by a non-Kohen. V'amenasech, or you make a libation which makes the whole thing forbidden. B'shogig potter, if this was done inadvertently, you're exempt because it's not a visible hezek, not a visible form of damages. These are only abstract damages in terms of the technical status of truma and chulin, or purity and impurity. However, b'mezid chayav, if you did it on purpose, you got to pay for the damages you caused. Nun Gimel 53. Amar Chizkiah. So Chizkiah says, "Var Torah echad shogeg chamezid chayav." Really, under a Torah law, whether it was on purpose or by accident, in any of these cases, you'd have to pay. Why? Hezek shenonikar shma hezek, because damages that are not physically visible but are rather abstractions in the halachic realm are nonetheless considered real damages. And why, in the case of shogeg, did we exempt you? The only reason we exempted you is because we want you to confess, kadeshio to you, because if you don't admit to the truth, we'll never know this was made impure, we'll never know this was dimua, a combination of chulin and truma, we'll never know that, whatever it is that you did that changed the halachic status, if you don't tell us, we won't know. So in order to elicit some honesty, we'll say in the case of shogeg, you're actually exempt. Everyone have a great week.